The Billionaire's Secret Island Part 6. Chapter 22, The Letter. It arrived on a Monday. No knock. No bell. Just a soft thud at the doorstep of her mother's house, where Isla had been hiding for 6 days, 3 hours, and 41 minutes. She found it on the welcome mat, sitting between a cracked terracotta pot and yesterday's newspaper. At first glance, it looked like nothing. A plain black envelope. Sealed in wax. Unmarked. Unsigned. But she knew. She knew. Her mother was in the kitchen, humming softly, slicing oranges. She didn't see Isla pause, frozen in the entry hall. She didn't see the color drain from her daughter's face. She didn't ask. The letter burned in Isla's hand before she even opened it. She waited. Carried it upstairs. Closed the door. Sat on her childhood bed, knees drawn up, the envelope clutched tight like a talisman. Then, finally, she broke the seal. There were 3 things inside. 1, a folded piece of thick ivory stationery, handwritten in Nico's slanted black ink. 2, a one-way plane ticket to Florence, departure, tomorrow morning. 3, a ring. Not the fake one. Not the one the tabloids had mocked. The real one. Silver. Heavy. The De Rossi crest engraved on the inside. Worn, not new. Used. Belonged. Chosen. She opened the letter last. Her fingers shook, but the writing was steady. Isla. I've made every decision I thought would protect you. Which means I've made every decision that hurt you. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not asking for it. What I am asking for is this. One last chance. If you come ready to stay. If you don't, I'll disappear. For good. You deserve peace. Even if it means losing you. But if you still believe in us, if any part of this was real for you, I'll be waiting. Nico. She read it 3 times. The first, too fast. The second, too slow. The third, just right. Then she pressed the paper to her chest. And cried. Not like a woman broken. Like a woman remembering. Every touch. Every glance. Every moment when she'd known, deep down, against every warning, that he meant it. That all of it had been real. She stared at the plane ticket. Florence. The place of betrayal. The place of the proposal. The place where he had chosen someone else, but only for the world to see. She ran her thumb over the embossed airport code. FLR. It shimmered in the light. On her bedside table, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Kiara. No words. Just a link. A photo. Lucienne at a press event, grinning like a cat in gold heels. Caption. The future Mrs. De Rossi says the wedding will be private, and final. Isla didn't reply. She just closed her eyes. And imagined him waiting. Not at an altar. Not at a press conference. But alone. With that letter. And that ring. And the hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd forgive him not for being cruel. But for being a man who didn't know how to love anyone the right way until her. She didn't decide right then. She let the afternoon pass. She walked through her hometown streets. Breathed the old air. Smelled the olive trees and ocean wind and warm bread and memory. She let the light fade. She watched the stars appear. And only then, when the town was quiet, she packed a small suitcase. left the note on the table for her mother, and placed the ring in her palm. It was warm, like it remembered her. The next morning, she stepped onto the plane. Alone. No makeup. No armor. No script. Just her. And the possibility of something unfinished becoming final. Chapter 23, Return to the Island. The plane touched down at golden hour. Private. Sleek. No logos. Just white leather seats and champagne that remained untouched. Isla stared out the window as the emerald curve of the island came into view, not the broken, burnt shell she had fled weeks ago, but something reborn. The water still shimmered turquoise, like molten glass poured from the sun itself. The cliffs stood tall and blindingly white. But at the top, new stone, fresh terracing, and rising above it all, a new estate. Built into the cliffside like it had always belonged there. All open archways, green shuttered windows, and wild bougainvillea climbing the walls like it was in love. Isla stepped off the jet barefoot. By choice. She wanted to feel the ground. To know it was real. The air smelled like salt, citrus, and memory. A soft sea breeze tangled her hair. And then she saw it. Him. Standing barefoot on the sand, in rolled-up linen pants and a navy shirt unbuttoned at the collar. No guards. No staff. No entourage. Just Nico. Smiling. Like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. And now, finally, could exhale. She didn't run to him. She didn't need to. He came to her. Step by step, slow and reverent, like she was something sacred. And when he reached her, he said nothing. He didn't ask if she'd forgiven him. Didn't ask if she was staying. He just held out his hand. And she put hers in his. They walked in silence up the winding path. Past olive trees and blooming jasmine, past a new wooden gate carved with the De Rossi crest. Past the ghost of the old house, now only a memory. The new villa opened before her in a sun-drenched sprawl, built from white stone and framed by archways draped in sheer linen curtains that danced in the breeze. Inside, light. Air. Clean, open space. Floor-to-ceiling windows with views of nothing but blue. No gold. No grandeur. Just beauty. Natural. Simple. Expensive in a way that didn't shout. There was no staff. Just Nico, her, and the silence between. She turned slowly in the center of the foyer, hand brushing across the cool marble railing. "This doesn't feel like your world," she murmured. He came up behind her. "It's not." She turned. He met her eyes. "It's ours." He led her down a hallway, every step echoing softly. To a room at the end. The doors opened not to a bedroom, but to a courtyard. Private. Walled in stone. Centered around a single olive tree. A table set for two. Candles already lit. Dinner waiting. And in the center of the table, a ring box. Isla froze. Her pulse skipped. "I already have the ring," she whispered. Nico smiled. That one was a promise. And this? A beginning. He stepped closer. Took the box. Opened it. Inside, a ring unlike the first. This wasn't heirloom. This wasn't mafia. This was Isla. A deep green emerald, wrapped in platinum, shaped like a teardrop. Delicate. Bold. Wild. Not something a De Rossi heir would give to a trophy wife. but something Nico would give to his equal. He knelt. Not dramatically. Not for a camera. Just for her. I don't want the empire, he said softly. I want you. I want mornings on this island. I want you barefoot in my kitchen, yelling at me about sea turtles. She laughed, tears catching on her lashes. I want quiet. And peace. And storms. And chaos. I want us, whatever version of us is honest. He held out the ring. But if you don't want that too, you can walk away now. I'll never come after you. She stared down at him. Her breath shallow. And then she knelt too. Right in front of him. And whispered. Then why build the whole island back, if you didn't think I'd come home? He didn't answer. He kissed her. And this time, nothing was in the way. That night, they sat under the olive tree with candles burning low and cicadas buzzing somewhere in the grass. No plan. No press. No future war looming. Just two people who had survived each other. And in the dark, he whispered against her neck. Tomorrow, we marry. She smiled. Soft. Certain. I know. Chapter 24, The Vow. There was no cathedral. No palace. No crowd of thousands. There was only the island. And the sky, the sea, and a garden carved into the cliffs, blooming like something out of an ancient myth. The isle was made of whitewashed stone. Fresh petals scattered by hand. Chairs carved from driftwood and silk. 12 guests. No press. No drones. No circle. Just family. Kiara, eyes lined with salt tears. Serena in navy silk, eyes sharp but soft. Nico's only living uncle, stone-faced but present. And at the end of it all, a man in a tuxedo so tailored it might have been sculpted to his body. Nico De Rossi. Not the crowned prince of a criminal empire. But a man completely stripped of performance. He stood at the altar, beneath an arch of wild vines and pale orchids. His hair was brushed back. His hands steady. But his eyes. They searched for her the second the music began. And then she appeared. There were no words for it. Only gasps. Even the birds seemed to fall silent in the trees. Isla stepped through the open arch of the villa's inner courtyard, into the late morning light, as the string quartet played a slow, aching version of Una Mattina. Her gown shimmered with movement. Custom made by 4 of the top designers in the world, flown in under aliases. Pearlescent white silk, hand-stitched with antique Venetian lace. A slit-up one leg, scandalously high. A back so low it looked illegal. She wore no necklace. No bracelets. Only earrings, dangling, glassy emeralds. And the veil, longer than the aisle, sheer and whispering as it trailed behind her, studded with tiny white diamonds sewn like stardust into the fabric. The entire look had been valued at over $1.2 billion. But the look in her eyes when she saw him. Priceless. She walked slowly. Not with hesitation. But with certainty. Like she was claiming what was hers. Nico didn't breathe until she reached him. And then he whispered, not for the guests, but only for her. You look like the first sunrise. She smiled. Barely. But it reached all the way to her soul. The officiant, a discreet, elegantly aging woman flown in from Siena, welcomed them in Italian. The wind caught the edge of Isla's veil, lifting it like wings behind her. Then. Do you have your vows? Nico stepped forward. No paper. No notes. Just him. He took Isla's hands in his. And began. I've done terrible things in my life. I've lied. I've stolen. I've destroyed. But none of it was ever more dangerous than falling in love with you. A breath. A pause. The wind caught his words. You made me soft. And then you made me strong. You made me afraid. And then you made me fearless. You taught me what it means to choose someone, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I don't want an empire anymore. I don't want a legacy. I want a lifetime of being the man you looked at when you thought no one was watching. I vow to wake up every morning and choose you. Even when we fight. Even when we fall. I vow to keep our secrets safe. I vow to never make you a pawn again. I vow to never let you walk alone into fire. And I vow, here, in front of everyone who ever doubted us, that if I ever lose you again. His voice broke. But he caught it. It won't be because I let go. Silence. Not one guest moved. Even the sea seemed to pause. Then. Isla stepped closer. Her voice steady. You once told me I didn't belong in your world. That I was too good. Too soft. Too clean. You were wrong. I don't want to be clean anymore. I want to be yours. I vow to love you even when you're impossible. Even when you're stone. Even when the past tries to rewrite us. I vow to never run again. And if I ever do. She smiled. Bold now. I vow to let you come find me. They didn't wait for permission. Nico pulled her in. Kissed her like it wasn't a ceremony, but a claim. And when the guests finally clapped, they did so through tears, through laughter, through disbelief. A second kiss came at the end of the aisle. A third by the water. And a fourth, behind closed doors. But that's another chapter entirely, Bella. As the sun reached its peak, and champagne was poured, and music rose from the garden. A journalist halfway across the world clicked publish. And the wire Isla had recorded, hidden beneath diamonds and couture, went live. But for now, she didn't know it. For now, she was still in his arms. Still on the island. Still a bride. And for the first time, she believed him. Chapter 25, Happily Ever Billionaire. The sun was just beginning to dip, bleeding gold across the Ionian Sea. The sky glowed in shades of coral and lavender, and the wind had turned warm and lazy. Somewhere behind them, the final champagne flute had been drained, the last string note played. The wedding was over. The war was over. The recording had detonated online in a wave of perfect, unstoppable destruction. The circle was in ruins. Lucien had gone silent. Bank accounts frozen. Networks dismantled. Arrests imminent. But none of it touched Isla or Nico. Because they were already gone. The helicopter waited on the edge of the cliff, its blades slowly turning, stirring petals across the stone helipad. It was matte black, custom interiors, champagne chilling in a silver bucket between two leather seats. The pilot waited discreetly, headset already on. Nico stepped out first, jacket off, sleeves rolled, sunglasses catching the fire of the setting sun. He turned and held out his hand. And Isla followed. She wore no veil now. Just a slinky white slip dress, backless, barefoot. Her emerald earrings swayed as she moved, soft hair undone from hours of dancing. She had never looked more royal. Or more wild. Nico helped her into the cabin. They sank into the seats together, a little breathless, a little drunk on each other. The doors shut with a hydraulic hiss. The noise of the blades rose. And then they lifted off the island. Together. Isla watched the cliffs shrink beneath them, the villa now just a glint of white and bougainvillea in the distance. "Will you miss it?" she asked, still watching. "No," Nico said softly. She turned to him. "Why not?" "Because you're not on it anymore." She smiled. The kind of smile you only learn after surviving hell. He poured the champagne. It fizzed and foamed in the flutes. They clinked glasses. "To what?" she asked. He tilted his head. "Rebirth." She sipped. Then leaned back. Rested her head on his shoulder. The sea stretched endlessly below them. And then she pulled away just enough to look at him. Her voice was quiet. Soft. Delicate in a way that only truth can be. "Nico." He turned to her instantly, his expression changing. A flash of worry, love, protectiveness. Her fingers found his. She laced them together. And whispered. "I think there's 3 of us now." Time stopped. The rotors still spun. The sea still shimmered. But inside the cabin, it was like gravity had shifted. He stared at her. Silent. Not from shock. But from the kind of awe that makes men forget to breathe. He set his glass down slowly. Then hers. Took both her hands in his. "Are you sure?" She nodded. Her smile was trembling. 2 weeks late. He blinked once. Twice. Then his expression cracked. And joy poured through. Real. Fierce. Blinding. He let out a slow breath. Then pulled her into him. Held her like she was carrying the whole world. Because she was. "I didn't think I could be this lucky," he murmured into her hair. "You tried to leave me twice," she teased softly. "I failed both times. 3rd time's the charm." He kissed her. Carefully now. Like she was more precious than ever. Below them, the sea burned gold. Above them, the sky began to bloom with stars. And somewhere between water and wind, champagne and silence, a new story had already begun. That's the end of this story, but trust me, the next one is even more thrilling. We drop fresh episodes every day, so don't miss out. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, you won't want to miss what's coming next.
Thanks for listening to Billionaire Romance Stories, where love meets luxury in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We love hearing your favorite twists and favorite theories. And don't forget to ring that bell, because in this world of yachts, secrets, and luxurious romance, the next story is always one click away.